Is there a motion to adjourn the specially called 1:30 meeting?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, so I'm not going to open the,
No, let's open it and adjourn and go into closed session and we can have our break then.
okay, all right, so we'll go ahead and do that. All right. I now declare this meeting of the Moore County Board of Education, the 4 PM meeting, regularly called business meeting, in session. Do I have a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the closed session resolution contained on item Roman numeral 1 on the agenda? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we will now go into closed session. calling the Moore County Board of Education into session. Do I have a motion to go into open session?
No, you've already done that.
Do I have a motion to go into open session?
You've already done
Okay.
that.
We already
You've already done-
We did that? Because we closed session. Okay, all right. So, do I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's recognize at this point Mariah Lick, 12th grade student, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Activity row 2. Activity row. News to eat quick hits row. Greetings. About me. Device to calendar at school. Have fun active pages page. Row 1. Row 3. Row 4. Row 5. Row 6. Row 7. Speak all. Row 1. Row 3.
Keep going, you got it. She's having to go through a lot of rows and
That's
pages.
okay.
Well, it's all right. We're
Row
very
4.
patient. No problem.
She's really patient.
Row 5.
Reading and writing row.
Row 1. Go back. My notebooks. Notebook 1. Row 1. Row 2. Speak notebook. Speak sentence. Speak all.
Good evening, my name is Mariah Lick. I am 21 years old. I go to Pinecrest High School. I live in Aberdeen, North Carolina. This is my talker. It helps me speak. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Have a great day.
That was cool.
Thank you so very much. And this is just one indication of the breadth of Moore County schools, not just some of the things that you might expect, but we do a wide variety of education, and we so much appreciate our special students. Let me turn it over to Molly Wolf, a speech and language pathologist at Moore County Schools, to provide a moment of inspiration.
Good evening, Superintendent Locklear, Chairman Levy, and esteemed members of our school board. My name is Molly Anderson Wolf. I'm a speech-language pathologist at West Pine Middle School, and I'm also the lead for Moore County Schools' assistive technology team. I was honored to be able to be here tonight, especially with Mariah, having known her since she moved to Moore County Schools in 3rd grade. This young lady is remarkable and has shown such incredible growth, and we're so proud of her. I am a product of Moore County Schools. I came up from Southern Pines Elementary to Southern Pines Middle. Go Blue Knights. Pinecrest High School, go Patriots. And then I continued my education at Appalachian State University, where I got my undergraduate degree and master's degree in communication disorders. I returned to Moore County to begin my career as a speech-language pathologist in 1990 at Aberdeen Elementary School. Today, I want to talk to you about the 3 guiding principles of Moore County Schools: engage, inspire, succeed. Engage. Engagement of students in the learning process. Engagement of all students in their own personal learning. Engagement is easier for some students than it is for others. And that's where the challenge of finding the right tools to assist students in engaging is critical. It is our job as educators to engage the student who is average, above average, below average, learning disabled, physically disabled, blind, deaf, cognitively impaired, medically fragile, autistic, speech language impaired, nonverbal, intellectually gifted, and from all different family backgrounds or living situations. Here in Moore County Schools alone, we currently have 30 students who are using augmentative and alternative communication devices, such as what Mariah uses, in order to communicate everything from their most basic functional wants and needs all the way to their highest academic knowledge so that they can engage in their learning. Inspire. Inspire is a funny one for me. As educators, it is our job to inspire students to have a lifelong love of learning. This is my life's work and it's my passion. I strive to inspire students to have a desire to learn and a way to communicate with others. However, I frequently find that my students inspire me. When I look at the day-to-day challenges that students with disabilities face in order to show what they're learning, I'm humbled. The students who are not physically able to speak and have to use technology to give them a voice, they inspire me. The students who have to give a report in class, despite the fear that they will stutter or not say the words correctly, they inspire me. The students who are learning to navigate the school using a cane and read through the use of Braille technology because they are blind, they inspire me. The students who are gifted and can debate with the best of them, they inspire me. The students who struggle to interact due to difficulty processing the environmental lights and the noise of the classroom because they are autistic, they inspire me. The students who have to use lip reading and sign language interpreters in order to access their education because they are deaf, they inspire me. The students who require repetition after repetition after repetition in order to learn a new concept because they learn differently, they inspire me. The students who get up and show up at school despite difficult home situations, they inspire me. I am blessed to be surrounded by inspiration every single day at work. Succeed. What is success? Is success a test score? Is success personal growth? Is success just showing up? Is success being kind? Is success being vulnerable? I think success is personal to each individual child that walks through the doors of the classroom. For some, success may be as simple as having a voice to be able to tell their parents when they're hungry or that they love them. For some, success comes on the athletic fields. For some, success comes in the arts. For some, success comes in being at the top of their class. I have been blessed to have worked and experienced all of these successes with my students. We all succeed when we accept that we all bring something unique and different to the table. Students succeed when they know that we, as educators, genuinely care about them. When we accept and we appreciate differences and we see ability instead of disability, we all succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I always have said that REC teachers do God's work, and it is really true. Let me turn it over to our vice chair for a moment of silence.
So continuing Ms. Wolf's message, last part of her message on success, during our moment of silence, let's all keep in mind our recent graduates of Moore County Schools, and wish them the best and success, whether they're enrolling in college, entering the workforce, or entering the military. So please take a moment of silence and keep them in your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to have some recognitions. Let me call upon Board Member Ken Benway to read the recognitions, and I'll ask Philip Holmes and Shannon Davis to come and hand out our certificates of recognition.
Before we get into that, can we, Mariah and Miss Molly, you guys get a certificate as well? So if they can come first and get their picture taken. And that's Miss Molly's.
Ms. Gephardt, are you doing the honors?
Dr. Metcalf.
Or Dad Metcalf? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, Charlie is under the weather tonight, so,
P.H.
yes.
Like Lieutenant Man in the machine gun.
Chin up, Mariah. Chin up. Mariah. Awesome. Smile. Awesome. Marshall.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Maria Bear, please join our board members at the front. Maria Bear? There we go. Maria Bear is this month's Engage, Inspire, Succeed Certified Staff Honoree. Dedicated, patient, and compassionate are a few words that describe Mrs. Bear, an 8th grade exceptional children's teacher and facilitator at West Pine Middle School. She believes all students can learn, and with the right support in place, her students succeed in meeting their individual goals, show growth in reading and math, and gain confidence in themselves. Mrs. Bear is invested in meeting the needs of all students as demonstrated by her leadership on the school's multi-tiered system of supports team and Teacher Advisory Council. West Pine Middle School is grateful for everything Mrs. Bear does for our school, as she is the epitome of the Wildcat Way. Would members of the Bear family and Principal Wiley please stand and be recognized? Congratulations, Maria.
And we have a,
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Victoria Reyes, please join our board members at the front. Victoria Reyes is this month's Engage, Inspire, Succeed Support Staff Honoree. Ms. Reyes has been an integral part of the Southern Middle School team for the past 7 years. As the saying goes, leadership is influence, and she has had a significant and positive influence on the school. Ms. Reyes serves as the bookkeeper, where she keeps everything and everyone straight. As a leader in the school, she has taken awareness of the needs for students and staff, and her generosity and commitment shine bright every day. Ms. Reyes continuously puts others first, and she is an incredible asset to the Dragon team. Would members of the Reyes family and Principal Kernicki please stand and be recognized? Congratulations, Victoria. Anita Craig, please join our board members at the front. Anita Craig is this month's Engage, Inspire, Succeed Volunteer Honoree. Mrs. Craig is completing her second year as president of the Parent Teacher Association at Pinehurst Elementary School. During her tenure, Mrs. Craig has managed to recreate a lively group of parents who serve our school community. Whether pulling parents out of their cars in the car line, stuffing envelopes, or dressing up as as a Green Pinehurst Elementary ambassador, Mrs. Craig has brought renewed energy to the PTA. She has spent countless hours researching our school's past and has written a complete history that includes the stories of many of our local citizens. Mrs. Craig attended local events to meet with citizens to create a timeline of education, and if I can get the paper apart, education excellence in Pinehurst. This was used as the backbone of a large school event to celebrate our 100 years in February. Her passion and commitment to celebrating excellence in our school committee has been invaluable. Please, would members of the Craig family and Principal Chacon please stand and be recognized. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's certainly history, too.
Awesome job, and I love the flower.
This month we have a few additional recognitions.
Activity weather.
Is Christian Hackett present?
I missed one.
Okay, Christian was unable to make the meeting tonight. Marshall Landry. Marshall Landry?
Quick Hits Row.
Okay.
Greetings.
Marshall Landry, Pinecrest High School, NCH SAA 4A individual singles tennis state champion. Marshall has been playing the sport he loves since he was 5 years old. When he was 10 years old, he set his goal to win a state championship for Pinecrest High School. COVID-19 cut his freshman season short with only 3 matches, but the next 3 years were incredible. Marshall has won 3 conference single titles, 3 conference player of the year awards, 3 regional single titles, and placed 3rd at states his sophomore year, runner-up at states this junior year, and became state champion his senior year. His overall record is 74-2, and he is signed to play for Mississippi State next year. We're so proud of Marshall, and we know his hard work and dedication to the sport, he will continue to achieve his goals. Would members of the Landry family please stand and be recognized?
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Coach.
Coach, fantastic.
Marshall, you are awesome. Congratulations.
I apologize, I skipped somebody in one of these passes here. Abigail Tillman, please join our board members at the front. Sorry, Abigail. Abigail is this month's Engage, Inspire, Succeed student honoree. Abigail, 10th grade student at Community Learning Center at Pinckney, has quickly established herself as an engaged and enthusiastic student. Her success and dedication to academic excellence is a true testament of her character. Abigail actively seeks out opportunities to improve and learn. She is noted by both students and staff at CLC for her kindness and creativity. Abigail is seen as a positive light by anyone who meets her and has a way of making those around her smile. She continuously strives for success and doesn't let anything stop her. We're very proud to have her as part of our CLC family and look forward to seeing her achievements. Would members of the Tillman family and Principal Wilson please stand and be recognized? Congratulations, Abigail.
Congratulations, young lady.
Way to go.
We have one more.
One more. Sally Bold Frick, please join our board members at the front. Mrs. Frick has organized and facilitated the Moore County Schools middle school debates for many years. Through her dedication and guidance, the debates fostered critical thinking, effective communication, and teamwork skills in the young debaters. Mrs. Frick's tireless efforts in directing debate competitions have provided opportunities for students to engage in intellectual discourse and gain confidence in public speaking. Her unwavering commitment to nurturing a supportive and inclusive debate environment has created a safe space for students to explore diverse perspectives and develop empathy. Mrs. Frick's passion for the education and her ability to inspire and motivate students is truly commendable. Her impact extends beyond the debate club, shaping the future leaders and critical thinkers of tomorrow. Mrs. Frick attributes her success to the following major program coordinators and sponsors: Jim Williford, Libby Carter, Ben Denton, an English-speaking Union Sandhills branch, and the Rotary Club of Pinehurst, as well as the Sandhills Enrichment Fund. Would members of the Frick family, Clem Joette, Brian Burns, and Mary Lou Siegfried, please stand and be recognized. Congratulations, Sally.
Thank you, dear.
This concludes the recognition portion of tonight's meeting.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Oh, so am I. Oh, you deserve this. Thank you. Thank you.
Let me,
We'll go out and get drunk some night.
yeah, I think, yeah. We're gonna take a brief 5-minute recess so that everyone can have a chance to congratulate each other. We're going to go head back into session. We're now at the point of the, highlights, the class of 2023.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Yes, we have something here.
Yes, sir. This is one of my favorite program highlights that we have each year, honoring our graduating class, and Miss Fall does a wonderful job. She gets fired up and loves talking about our graduating class. And I was joking earlier with Dr. Metcalf to use words from Jim Nance. This is a tradition like no other. So we're happy to do it each year. So Miss Fall.
Making sure I have a remote so I don't get behind.
Okay. Thank you, Board, for the opportunity to share this celebration with you tonight. The honoring of the graduating class has become a nice tradition. The hardest part of this presentation is narrowing it down so that we don't sit here all night applauding our graduates, but I'm excited to share with you some of the highlights of the class of 2023. As we all know, Moore County Schools is about preparing the next generation of citizens. This path is different for each and every one of our students, but our end goal is to prepare these young adults for whatever their next steps are, be it employment, enlistment, or higher education. Our students are well-rounded, accomplished young adults ready to start their next journey. We are so proud of each and every graduate who walked across our stage this weekend, and we know that they will go forth and represent Moore County well in the world. Here is just a sampling of our outstanding accolades and accomplishments. As of this past weekend, the Moore County School class of 2023 had 1,062 graduates. That includes 147 from Northmore, 501 from Pinecrest, 347 from Union Pines. We welcome Connect Academy to our graduation list with their first graduating class ever of 29 students. And the Community Learning Center at Pinckney graduated 38 students, including many students who returned to finish their education after previously dropping out. A lot of the graduating class has plans to pursue higher education, and these students planned ahead. The class of 2023 had 6 students earn their college associate's degree while in high school. Tommy Hussey from Northmore, Jeanette Burt from Pinecrest, Emily Carson, Margaret Ferris, and Ashley Pohl, and Abigail Wood from Union Pines. In addition, Northmore graduates Mariana Garcia Vasquez and Pinecrest graduates Ryan Spinelli and Braden Walters are scheduled to complete their associate's degree before the end of summer term. Advanced placement scholars are students who achieve a score of 3 or higher on 3 or more separate advanced placement exams. This year we have 67 students who met this high benchmark. When it comes to the next step, 81% of our traditional school students have self-reported college acceptance. This includes 2- and 4-year public and private institutions across this country. Connect Virtual Academy and CLC at Pinckney also have numerous students pursuing post-secondary education. All 5 graduating classes were awarded scholarships, over $23 million in scholarship offers to be exact. That is not including the Sandhills Promise scholarships, which are students who qualify for free tuition at Sandhills Community College for 2 years. One of the goals of Moore County Schools is to make sure our students are ready to join the workforce to skilled labor. The class of 2023 is ready for the job. Our career and technical education program has helped these students start their working careers with a strong foundation. One measure of workforce readiness is the National Work Keys Assessment. This assessment is taken by seniors who have completed a course of study in a CTE pathway. The test measures job and workforce readiness. The class of 2023 had 283 students earn the highest levels on this assessment, showing that our students are workforce ready. Another strong indicator of employment readiness is industry-recognized credentials and certifications. These accreditations often lead to higher paying jobs and increased hireability. As of this morning, the class of 2023 is part of the 4,607 credentials earned so far this past school year, almost 1,000 more than was received last year. This number is expected to increase as final credentials are reported. There were some big standouts in the CTE world for our graduating class. Kyle Fries completed the Sandhills Fire Academy and, after responding to over 90 calls this past year, was named Volunteer of the Year by the Eagle Springs Fire Department. Jace Nelson, also from Northmore, won first place in automotive tool identification at the North Carolina Skills USA state competition. Megan Needham from Union Pines placed 3rd in the Future Farmers of America Extemporaneous Speaking Competition. Vikings Andrew Whitaker, Wyatt Holmes, and Tessa Woods earned their Automotive Service Excellence G1 certification. In addition to these students, seniors were part of the awarded 32 drone pilot license, 28 vet assistance license, 5 ServSafe food manager license, 23 certified nursing assistants, as well as numerous other industry-recognized credentials. As you can see, the class of 2023 is truly college and career ready. When it comes to Moore County's dedication for students to be college and career ready, the class of 2023 has shown us all how to do it right. 651 seniors earned credit for over 3,084 college courses. Moore County Schools' pride in our military runs deep. We have a large military-connected population, many veterans work in our schools, and we have dedicated programs for junior ROTC. The class of 2023 will or has already joined the MCS legacy of military pride. Moore County has 3 students who received appointments to military academies: Patriot Grace Kays and Viking McKaylee Wilkerson will be attending the United States Military Academy at West Point. Braden Copeland from Pinecrest will be joining the freshman class at the U.S. Merchant Marines Academy. Beyond the military academies, many of our students are choosing to join the armed forces to do their service to this country. Over 20 students from 4 of our schools will be serving next year in the Marines, Army, National Guard, Coast Guard, Air Force, and Navy. As we all know, school is about more than books. It's also about building friendships, exploring who we are and how we fit into the whole. And what better way to do that than as part of a strong team? Once again, Moore County athletes have had some rousing successes over their time in school. An entire presentation can be dedicated to the success of our athletic teams alone, but here's just a small sampling of the athletic successes our seniors were a part of. Northmore is most proud of their 4 seniors who have signed to play sports in college. Ethan Dunlap will play baseball at Rockingham Community College. Sierra Garner will be a golfer with Santos Community College. Leslie Gonzalez will be playing soccer at St. Andrews University, and Haley Kennedy will play volleyball as a Santos Flyer. Seniors participated in one of the best Mustang sports season ever, with baseball and football teams making school history as the North Carolina State runners-up and 4th round in the 1A state playoffs, respectively. Additionally, numerous teams made the 1A state playoffs, as well as several individual qualifiers for state championships. Pinecrest seniors Zach Gibbertson, Sean Thomas, and Azaria Jones did amazing work in track and field, with Zach breaking a 49-year-old school record in the 1600 meter. Marshall Landry, who we met earlier, was the 4A state championship in individual tennis. And additionally, seniors led the men's and women's golf teams to the championship. For the senior Vikings, it was all about all conference. Hunter Meads, Mason Deere, Maddie Wagner, Jaden Crawford, Colton Collins, Laura Cavanis, Devin Craven, Allison DeMasi, Damari Peterson, Megan McCaskill, Tommy Calicaro, Jackson Carmichael, Brody Tannell, Antonio McAllister, Damon Bremer, Chris Filbert, Ben Finkelstein, and David Perez were all named all-conference in their sports. In addition to these winners, Daniel Parks was named as the conference men's swimmer of the year. Seth Swain and Bella Purcell received honors as their bowling prowess at Union Pines. And 2 conference players of the year, Marissa Fuller and softball, and Brissy Gonzalez for volleyball. The athletic field is not the only place that Moore County seniors shone. Moore County seniors participated in more clubs, extracurriculars, honor societies, art classes, and service projects than I can name. Through these outlets, they have shown their tenacity, drive, dedication, and talent. Viking Melson Phillips received 1st place and a scholarship in the Piquet Music Festival. Faithlyn Voltis won 1st place in the regional Shakespeare competition and went to New York City for nationals. John Perry, along with Patriots Lydia Ball, Lydia Jones, and Casey Cipher, were selected for the North Carolina Eastern Regional Honors Orchestra. Patriot Maya Hauser won the Congressional Art Competition. Lehana Timpick was selected for the North Carolina Honors Choir. And in theater, upstage seniors Lauren Boyette, Caleb Fox, Walker Shore, Matea Pace, Mace Armstrong, and Faith Colitis were part of the 1st place regional North Carolina Theater Conference, who went on to state. And speaking of theater, we cannot forget that the Northmore Theater seniors took home a slew of awards at both regional and state North Carolina Theater Conferences, and their show Polka Dots won the state level of the International Thespian Festival. In addition to our 3 traditional schools, Moore County also offers 2 unique high school experiences at the Community Learning Center at Pinckney and Connect Virtual Academy. Alternative students from the Community Learning Center are bound for a variety of post-secondary plans, with many students continuing in the workforce they are already a part of, as well as students who are on the path to becoming nurses and barbers. Many of them will be working towards associate's degrees, and some have already begun putting plans in motion to create and build their own businesses. CVA is most proud of their 1st graduating class, with a graduation rate of 97%, with potential to be 100% after the summer term. They are also extremely proud of the flexibility their program offered Moore County students, including John Talk, who used that flexibility to start earning his pilot's license while completing high school. One of the hardest things about this presentation is narrowing down 1,000 student successes, milestones, celebrations, and more into a 10-minute presentation. Every student who walked our stage this past weekend is a success. They have fought, struggled, studied, and pushed themselves to reach their fullest potential. When I asked the school to provide us some individual student success stories, they shared some wonderful tales of grit and determination. Here are just a few. Shemaya McRae made the decision to return to school to earn her high school diploma. She stayed focused to catch up on all of her credits with a quiet determination that impressed her peers and her teachers. She kept her eye on being able to pursue her post-secondary dream, and she is now preparing to enlist in the Marines. Damian Lejon attended CLC at Pinckney in 7th grade and returned his 9th grade year. He set a goal to be the first person in his family to earn a high school diploma, and he overcame many challenges to attain his goal. He will be working full-time in our community while he has set his next goal to attend Santos Community College. Luke Oakley is a student in the Vikings OCS program that is loved by everyone. Luke always greets you with a smile and has never met a stranger. Luke was recognized by the staff this year as Senior Awards as the 2023 winner of the prestigious Cooper Ellington Award. Eric Diaz Lopez came to Northmore with a history of discipline issues and chronic absenteeism. By the end of his freshman year, he was at risk at dropping out. However, he found a home in Mustang Country and made great strides, due in large part to Northmore's football program as well as CTE offerings, especially automotive technology and construction. He quickly started to shine as an all-around likable guy who was more than willing to help others when called upon. After graduation, Eric plans to take business classes at Sandhills to help his dad carry out the family's construction and concrete business. Angelica Goana overcame many obstacles related to home life factors beyond her control that resulted in her ultimately being an unaccompanied homeless youth. She exhibited a level of grit and resilience well beyond her years and was committed to earning her diploma no matter what. Angelica plans to attend Sandhills Community College to complete her general education courses and later transfer to a four-year college or university to earn a degree in the STEM field. Emma Grace Peoples endured not just one, but 2 heart transplants over the course of her 4 years at Northmore. Despite the challenges presented by her medical needs, the global pandemic, and a homebound virtual learning, Gracie persevered and continued to prioritize her education. With the commitment and support of her teachers, counselors, and staff, Gracie is graduating and will be attending Central Carolina Community College to study aesthetics. Lehanna Timpick, Shakira Spencer, and Jemiah Williams are student directors for the choir classroom this year. Since their classroom was without a teacher for the vast majority of the school year, these young ladies ran the classroom and performances throughout the year with the supervision of volunteer Kristen Foyles and a substitute. And Dioko Azad enrolled in Moore County Schools in 7th grade from Iraq. His English was very limited, but he worked extremely hard throughout middle and high school to build his way up to 5 AP courses as a senior. This picture perfectly captures how we feel about our graduates. We are so excited to send our graduates out into the world. We know that they will remember their time in Moore County Schools fondly, but more importantly, we know that they will succeed in whatever path they choose to follow. With the foundation they have built with us, they will fulfill their purpose and their potential. So I ask you to join me in congratulating our graduating classes: the Community Learning Center at Pinckney Tigers, the Northmore Mustangs, the Pinecrest Patriots, the Union Pines Vikings, and the first graduating class at Connect Academy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.
We are indeed proud of our graduates of 2023, and we hope that when you talk about enrollment, enlistment, and employment, you'll think about the fact that schools have changed. We no longer just go to high school just to go to college. We go to high school for many reasons, and we recognize the fact that we go to high schools for many reasons. And Moore County Schools has the breadth to take in all of those students who need all of those skills. So, let us go at this point in time to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion for the board minutes and the personnel report on the consent agenda, to approve the consent agenda? Is there a second from?
I'll second.
There's a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, let me ask, does anyone need time to leave who does not want to be a part of the business meeting, who came for the earlier highlights? If so, we won't have any objection to someone leaving at this point. Okay. We have the public address to the board. For that, I will turn it over to our vice chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 3 speakers this evening. The first speaker is Jason Durham. And if the speakers could step up to this podium off to my left.
Good evening. My name is Jason Durham. I live in Aberdeen. My daughter attends Pinecrest High School. Currently, PCS has a very well thought out and comprehensive dress code. I'm here to speak out against the idea of school uniforms. The current dress code covers all the issues and concerns that I've seen posted on social media and heard from other parents. If it is enforced, I don't see why any school uniform would be needed. In regards to board presentation in favor of school uniforms, the data used isn't up to date or relevant to the crime in Moore County schools. The statistics used were from crime rates from Long Beach, California in 1994 and 1995 and Ruffner Middle School in Norfolk, Virginia. Those school districts use school uniforms to decrease gang-related problems and violence in the schools. I don't believe Moore County Schools has a large gang problem that I'm not aware of. Currently, Moore County Schools has a charge fee waiver. However, that would not be available for school uniforms, nor are they tax deductible for state or federal. Many of the students have a hard time finding funds for food, and they need an outlet for self-discovery and expression, many of which cannot wear certain materials, fabrics. Before Ms. Wolf listed all the special needs children and education requirements needed, one uniform does not fit all. Uniform stands for uniformity. Our children are not carbon copies. I believe the Parents' Bill of Rights states that schools shall respect parents' values and beliefs. Parents have the right to instill in and nurture values and beliefs of their own children, and schools shall defer to the parents to make the best social and moral decisions with respect to their children. Mandating public school uniforms, therefore, would undermine that Bill of Rights. I also noticed that we have a agenda meeting for Moore County Public Police Reform. I, as a 20-year veteran, retired senior sergeant from the 4th largest sheriff's department in this country, I would ask that the Chief Hardy be involved in those discussions, as law enforcement, specifically our school police, have specialized training for juvenile laws, our facilities and staff that is critical and irreplaceable. I know that if staffing were sent back to, say, the sheriff's office, you would not get that dedicated officer, nor would they have the specialized training that our officers have in schools today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Durham. The next speaker is Amy Dahl.
Good evening. I've spoken to you before, urging you to focus on attracting and retaining quality teachers and telling you that our students are in distress and need help ASAP. I've seen no action on these urgent needs, only steps in the wrong direction. Once again, we need action to keep and attract teachers, and we must address student well-being. I remind you, teacher quality is the most important school-related factor in student success. But we're bleeding talent. Based on archived job postings, teachers are leaving at 3 times the rate they left last year. And still more teachers are seeking to leave. Amid this teacher shortage, few decent teachers can be had, especially in math, science, English, subjects that are tested for school report cards. Speaking of those report cards, they'll probably improve this year. But God help us if you take that as vindication of your actions. It will be in spite of you, not because of you. Scores are rebounding after COVID, and the tests measure learning mostly from before any of your changes took effect. But after this year, without quality teachers, students will not learn their content. Stressed out students will struggle even if they get good teachers. Students will bomb the state tests, and they won't be prepared for the next course. More learning loss, like COVID all over again. It's going to take years to rebuild staffs and teams if you start now. If you do nothing until our school report cards tank next year, it may take decades. A couple of things are coming along that are going to bite you. First is the Teacher Working Conditions Survey. Teachers look at these surveys before taking a job. Our 2022 surveys make Moore County schools look good. But if you don't make a change, our teachers will tell the world about the punishing schedule, the micromanagement, and the lack of respect. Prospective new hires will look up the survey and they will stay away in droves. Your justifications won't matter. This survey is filled out anonymously by teachers. It will be public for 2 years, telling the world, teachers hate it here. Then hiring teachers will get even harder, and report cards will fall farther. All right, the second thing is accreditation. Our high schools are accredited every 5 years. If a school fails accreditation, many colleges won't accept its graduates, and the military will treat them as Tier 2. In accreditation review, every aspect of a school is thoroughly examined by a professional team. Some of the standards. Standard 1, leaders cultivate and sustain a culture that demonstrates respect, fairness, equity, and inclusion. Standard 2, learners' well-being is at the heart of the institution's guiding principles such as mission, purpose, and beliefs. Standard 4, learners benefit from a formal structure that fosters positive relationships with peers and adults. Forcing teachers and counselors to rat out students is not it. Y'all have been talking as if these things are against your ideology, but they're essential to education, and they are the standards by which our schools will be judged. I honestly can't tell if you're neglecting the important stuff because you're so excited about installing your ideology into the schools, or if, as more and more people are saying, you're trying to destroy Moore County schools on purpose. If it's the former, let me remind you that you are the Board of Education. Education requires your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dahl. The last speaker is Sharon Swante. Swanky. Okay, thank you. I couldn't tell if it was a T or a K. So, okay. So, Ms. Dahl concludes this evening's speaker. Mr. Chair, point of personal privilege, if I could.
Yes.
I would just like to point out that in 2016, Robin Calcutt, Dr. Calcutt, the then Director of Planning and Accountability for Moore County Schools, sat at a table right here, right there where that gentleman's sitting, there was a table, and she proudly told the then school board, she reported on the letter grades of Moore County schools. In 2016, for the 2016-2017 academic year, Ms. Calcutt proudly reported that Moore County schools had 10 B-rated schools and 0 F-rated schools. Fast forward to last year, where Moore County had half as many B-rated schools. Cut it in half in 6 years, 5 years, and went from 0 F-rated schools to 2 F-rated schools. So one of the speakers spoke about school letter grades bottoming out. Yes, that decline started in 2016 when we had, in fact, 10 B-rated schools and 0 F-rated schools, and it declined under the previous school board. Mr. Chair, we're the ones fixing it, and we're the ones that are going to cause that rebound. Let me say that again. 2016, 2017, 10 B-rated schools. 5 years later, 5 B-rated schools. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hensley. At this point in time, we're going to go to certain reports and discussions and board actions. My job as chair is very unique based upon policies 1322.2, policy 1200, as well as other policies. I do have the right to refer certain matters to committee for prior to board consideration. I have decided to take certain matters off the calendar and send them to committee. They have not been discussed in our work sessions. I do not have any advance information about them. So therefore, the correcting misinformation about the role of school counselors is referred to the policy committee, because the policy committee decides on the role of school counselors. Comprehensive trauma medical plan is referred to the safety, is referred to the Safety and Discipline Committee, thank you. Reform of the Moore County Schools Police is referred to the Safety and Discipline Committee. Because the removal of mandatory fees is a matter of policy, and that is written in our policy. It cannot be used as an action item at this board meeting. It does require 2 readings. It has also not been vetted at our work sessions. So therefore, I am referring that to the policy committee. So we are now at item D, the reduction of Moore County Board of Education meetings. And I'm not sure who I should turn this over to. for
Actually, point of
explanation.
order, Mr. Chair.
Not at this point.
I believe a point of order is addressed upon request of a point of order.
Point of order? Point of order, what is your point of order?
My point of order is I'd like to pull up I'd like for you to have the Moore County School Policy pulled up saying that you have this ability. I just want to see the policy.
Counsel, could you read those policies?
I prefer, what's the policy number? I'll look it up myself.
1322. Point 2.
Mr. Chair, is there an objection to pulling it up so everyone can see it? I do much better seeing it rather than have someone read it out.
What do you mean, pull it up on a slide?
Right, just pull the policy up on the internet so we can see it on the screen so we can read it all at the same time.
1322.2.
I don't think we have to do that. It's a policy, it's in the policy manual. Counsel, can you read the policy that allows me to do that specifically?
Under your rules of order, 1322.2 delineates the responsibilities of the chairman, and subsection E says to refer any item on the agenda or raised during the meeting to a committee prior to board consideration.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I'm still looking it up on my phone. What was the number? I'm on the 1322s.
1322.2, subsection E.
Okay. Moving right along. The
I'm sorry,
reduction.
Can I take a few seconds to read it? I just got to it.
Okay.
So what you're doing is you're invoking policy, just to be clear to everyone here, you are invoking 1322.2, which, as you stated, says the chairman shall have the following responsibilities: to refer any item on the agenda, and these 3 items at my request were added to the agenda, some of them 5 weeks ago, because the public really needs to know where we stand on some of these things.
Okay, let me, I'm going to gavel you out of order. You had a point of order. I have answered the point of order. We will move on.
Well, I'm going to question
We
for
will
our
move,
attorney.
we will move on.
Mr. Chair,
We will move on.
I request a closed session for attorney consultation.
That is not within my purview. So we will move on
Okay, fair enough.
to the reduction of Moore County Board of Education meetings. To whom do I refer that? Is that your,
This item is on the agenda, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hensley originally had discussed this item with the board. On March 6th, I had put together information and consultation with Mr. Swartz about what's required of our meetings based on general statute. And that information was reviewed with the board in March, and at that point, it was decided to table this and bring it back at a later time. Mr. Hensley requested to bring this back tonight. This is for reduction of board meetings. At the time, the board also asked if I could put together what a potential calendar would look like if the meetings were reduced, and so that is attached as this executive summary, and if we'd like, we can pull that up. But essentially, this was reviewed with the board in March. As noted in the executive summary, the only requirement for boards of education is for a quarterly meeting on the first Monday in January, April, July, and October, or as soon thereafter as practicable. This provision allows the board to meet quarterly on a date other than the first Monday in each of those months. The same provision also allows the board to elect to meet in special sessions as often as school business may require. This would be accomplished simply by calling a special meeting complying with the notice requirements under the Open Meetings Law. And so this was summarized with the board in March. I'm happy to discuss it further with the board, but bringing this back at Mr. Hensley's request for the board's consideration.
okay,
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we reduce our meetings to our business meetings to 6 per year.
okay, there is a motion. Is there a second? Not hearing a second?
I'll second it.
Is it, okay? Is there a
I
second?
have a presentation to give.
That's it.
Right.
Well, no, we need a motion first.
I made a motion and.
And I second it.
Ms. Bruno
Second it.
seconded it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, and the maker of the motion gets to speak to his motion. Go ahead.
Thank you. I was just concerned I had to speak quickly, or you'd realize that I put this on the agenda and you'd shut it down. So there is a.
Mr. Hensley, you are out of order. That is a personal insult, and and please keep matters businesslike.
Just stated a fact.
Mr. Hensley, once again, you are out of order.
There's a file called 7D on there, if you could open that. Thank you. So as the superintendent said, second slide, please. As the superintendent said, North Carolina General Statute 115 Charlie-41 sets out the role of the school board. It requires 4 quarterly meetings. The state law requires meetings in January, April, July, and August. In last year, in academic 2022-23, which we're wrapping up, Moore County Schools Board of Education had 31 meetings out of 52 weeks. That means we were here more than half of the time, half of the weeks. We also have this concept that when I talk to my peers in other districts, the concept of a work session, that is foreign to almost every other school district that I've talked to, and I believe that was, if I remember correctly, that was implemented by the previous superintendent. And then and again, this is just background information. I'm going to get into stats here in a minute. Moore County Schools, with this school board, we implemented committee meetings. We implemented committees, and most boards, most effective boards work through committees where individual board members are assigned committee chairs and they're empowered and they develop, they're assigned committees generally within their background and expertise. That's why we need diversity of background and thought on boards. And then those committee chairs they and their committee members become experts within the jurisdiction of their committee, and effective boards make use of committees, and that's what we started to do in December of last year, in December of 2022. But we implemented committees without any corresponding reduction in meetings, which really just doubled everyone's workload, specifically the senior staff. If we go to the next slide, please. So just a few points on meetings. Too many meetings are counterproductive. You just spend all your time in meetings. Meetings are a drain on the senior staff time. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Meetings are a drain on all the staff's time in preparation of the meetings. Too many meetings change the focus of the board from oversight, which is what we're supposed to be, as oversight, to current operations. The number of meetings is not related to effectiveness. The number of meetings is not related to transparency. And the number of meetings is not related to the size of the organization or their budget. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the drain of too many meetings are counterproductive. Let's talk about the drain on senior staff time. Imagine, I have no idea how much time the senior staff uses in preparation of meetings. I suspect for some of them it's close to 20-25% of their time during weeks in which there's a meeting. If you look, so imagine how much more effective our senior staff could be if they got 8 to 10 hours a week or 20 to 25% of their work week back. Let's take the superintendent. Dr. Locklear sits in all of our work sessions. He sits in all of our meetings. He sits in most of our committee meetings, and that is generally well in excess of 10 hours a week. Not looking for confirmation, but it is a considerable drain. And likewise, all the staff who have to prepare for those meetings, they have to prepare briefings, they have to prepare background information. It just takes on a life of its own, and they spend their time preparing for meetings and preparing for briefs and preparing PowerPoints, not educating our children, not focusing on getting our buses to run on time, improving our food quality, and all those things that our senior staff should be focused on. And more importantly, perhaps most importantly, it causes a short-term focus on operations, not oversight. And as I said earlier, the purpose of a board is broad general oversight, not operations. Next slide, please. So I said earlier that the number of meetings is not related to size, effectiveness, and transparency. Effectiveness of an organization, any organization, especially a board, it is, well, specifically a board, its effectiveness is a result of organization of the board and effective use of the committees and empowering the committee chairs and the members of those committees to make decisions and then to make reports that everyone on the board relies on without second guessing and whatnot. That's why you have committees. That's why you have committee chairs to develop that expertise and in-depth knowledge that they can sink their teeth in and gain. It's a result of great policies, and we've made great policies. We have made great policies, this board has. It's setting of mission and goals along with metrics that are reported. So we have a great mission statement. We have goals. We sort of have metrics, but we don't have good metrics that we've defined by which to run the organization. And then you have to monitor those metrics. And then finally, the effectiveness is a result of, as we've heard a couple times tonight, a great CEO, in this case, a superintendent, senior staff, and team. And we have a remarkable senior staff. I mean, I could go through it, but I don't want to embarrass anybody. Anyway, so we have a great team. Quite frankly, we have made so many changes, and Dr. Locklear and his team are on such a great guide path. Quite frankly, the best thing we could do right now is sit back, watch them execute, and then make some rudder adjustments here and there, but we have to give them time to execute. So let's do some meeting comparisons. As I said, Moore County School Board of Education, not counting committee meetings, had 31 meetings last year, 31 meetings. Sandhills Community College Board of Trustees, which is praised as setting the standards for boards in Moore County, they had 9 meetings in the last year, 9 published meetings. You can go to their website. They had 9 regular and special called meetings. NC State, their Board of Trustees, their budget dwarfs ours. Their budget dwarfs ours, their number of students dwarfs ours, their organization dwarfs ours, their span of control dwarfs ours. They had 12 meetings in the last year, 12 meetings, and we had almost 3 times more than the Board of Trustees for NC State. Apple Computer, the first $2 trillion company or approaching that, recognized as one of the best run companies in the world. Their board had 4 meetings. So in all of those boards, well, except ours, the Sandhills Community College meetings, if you attend a meeting, it is almost all committee reports. The committees go through, they give their reports, and votes and action are taken based upon the advice of the committee chairs. Apple Computer and NC State make extensive use of boards. Next slide, please. Again, transparency is not related to the number of meetings. I know a couple of board members have said transparencies, we have to have meetings because we have to be transparent. Again, what's important is that we have policies. We have policies and procedures in place which are ensure that everything within Moore County Schools is transparent all the time. And everybody talks transparency. Everybody talks transparencies. We deliver on transparencies. All of our curriculum is online and outward facing. All non-payroll checks are online for inspection. If anybody wants to know what Moore County Schools spent any money on, let's say in the month of April, you can go to the finance section of our website and you can see every single check we wrote, who it was made out to and the amount. That's transparency. And we don't have to have any meetings for that. Committee meetings are public, noticed, and with published minutes. Those are examples of transparency, and none of that is tied to the number of meetings that we have. Next slide, please. My recommendations, and people are free to modify my motion. I just want to get a motion out on the floor to facilitate this discussion and give my presentation. But after thinking it through, we certainly don't need committee meetings and work sessions. So committee meetings could replace, in theory, work sessions. And then the school board meetings look like committee reports, then the superintendent reports, or whatever the superintendent wants to add to the agenda. And then we should have public hearings on matters. One thing that's troubled me about school board meetings is the public speaks, right? And we've had school board meetings where the public spoke for 3 hours. And then the public goes away, and then we discuss whatever. There's never any interaction with the public. And in my mind, I've always wondered how we could do that better, because I attended Whispering Pines City Council, and they would open up an issue, and then they would does anyone have anything to say on this issue? And people would come up and they would speak on that issue, and then the council would discuss and debate those issues, and then they would move on. So the people got to speak why the city council was considering those options. I was at a county commissioners meeting earlier this week, late last week, I don't recall, and they did something very interesting that I think the school board should consider, is they had a public hearing section. And on their agenda, they had a consent agenda. They had an agenda run pretty much like ours, where people couldn't say anything, which is very disrespectful to the people who showed up to speak. And then what they had is they had a public hearing section. And what the chair would do was, for those items that they knew would be contentious or people would want to speak for, they had a section called public hearings. And the chair opened it up he said, okay, we're going to cover, we're opening this up for public hearings, agenda item so-and-so. Does anyone have anything to say? And people would go up there and they would have 3 minutes to speak on that issue. And then there could be questions and answers. And then once that agenda item was concluded, then the public hearings were closed. I would like to see us explore having public hearings. I'd like to have us fewer meetings and more interaction with the public during our meetings. So I believe we can reduce our business meetings to 6 times per year, have special called meetings as necessary. So again, just if I could summarize real quick, and I think that's the last slide, if I could summarize real quickly, is we eliminate work sessions, because the great work that we all do in committees, I know we've done great work in the Facilities Committee and the Finance Committee. I've heard good reports coming out of the other committees. We replace work sessions. Our committee work replaces work sessions. We try to see if, and this would of course be under advice of our attorney as to how public hearings work. We integrate, we see if we can integrate public hearings into our business meetings, and then we reduce our business meetings to 6 per year, and then we have special called meetings as necessary throughout the year.
Anybody else want to speak on that? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I have something. I was just going to say, I think, in my opinion, I would love less meetings, but I just feel, I feel what would happen like today. My concern is that everything would be put on the agenda without us knowing about it, and then we would be here till midnight trying to figure out the actions of that. So if there would be some way to get a schedule and not get surprise stuff on our agenda, then I'd be all about that. But I just can't, I don't know if that could happen. My other thing would be is I just looked up Lee County and Harnett County, and they're doing 2 a month. They're right where we are. So they're doing work sessions and they're doing business meetings as well. Lastly, what else do I have? Oh, that's it. That's all I got. So I'm up for it. I just think it just needs a lot more talking through. I don't see us able to do 6 with the stuff that we put on our agenda.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, if I could.
Are there any other people?
I have a
So, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think some reduction in the meetings is warranted, no question there. I think we have to, as Stacy said, probably take a hard look at the sequencing and nail down exactly how the meetings will proceed throughout the year. So I'm in principle for it, but let's talk about it some more. Thank you.
Okay. Others?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Ken. We do need to look into it. I'm not saying I'm for it or against it, but, and 2, we also have to consider what the public, how they perceive that. So.
Others? Yes.
So, I'm sorry, we can't allow audience participation because this isn't a public hearing. So Stacy, I actually had Lee County on here, and then I took it off. Lee County had 19 meetings last year. So we had 31, Lee County had 19. I counted them, I went and I counted. I just took it off because I cut down the information or brief. And secondly, you made a comment about how you don't know how everything appeared on here without prior notice. Every single thing here, except for this item and the 4 items that the chair had removed from today's agenda, everything else was covered in last week's work
That's
session.
what I mean, those items that you're talking about. There was nothing on there for me to look at, to digest.
I guess that.
Okay, all right, let's,
Just to, that's exactly what I was thinking, is what it is that we investigate last week in preparation for today. When would we get that information, and how, there's a lot that needs to be worked through before. I like the idea, but conceptually.
Well, yeah, and
okay, all right, we can't have crosstalk. Okay, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there others who wish to speak?
well, yes, Mr. Chair, I obviously have something to say.
Just one moment. Okay, others who wish to speak? Yes, Mr. Hensley.
Well, I forgot what I was going to say now. What was your last point?
The
Oh, I'm sorry, I recall. So that's the reason why you have committees, is because the committees, the members of the committee, which each committee is 3 out of 7 school board members, to include the chair, they become the duty experts, and they become the people who conduct the meetings. You go to a Sand Hills Community College meeting, as an example, and it's or you go to a Lee County School Board meeting, it's a whole bunch of committee reports. And if you have questions or you have input into what the Safety and Security Committee is considering, you talk to the committee chair, or you talk to someone on the committee. If you have questions as to what's going on, or you have input on issues, and then that stuff happens down at the committee level. And so you stay abreast of it by keeping in contact with the people on the committee. And when it's briefed, things make it to committee by a vote of the committee, then you have trust and confidence in the members of the committee. That's why people are put on the committees. Again, it's a different way of operating, but what we did is we implemented committees, but we didn't take away the work sessions.
All right. If there's no other speakers, then I'll speak.
I'll say something.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think Mr. Hensley did a really good job in describing his plan. I agree that the committees could do an outstanding job on the work that we have to do. I just worry about public perception, and I really wish we could ask the people sitting here. That's my only worry.
Well, so
Okay, all right. Just one more thing, and then I'd like to speak, but go ahead.
So, who complain? Well, I do. Other than me, who complains about the Sand Hills Community College Board of Trustees? The editors of the Pilot give them glowing remarks of how well they do, and they only have meetings 6 business meetings. They have 9 meetings last year, and everybody gives them accolades.
I think that the community is so used to us having 2 meetings per month, where I don't really believe that the community knows that much about what the college is doing. It's not advertised the way we are. It's not public knowledge the way we are. And that's the only thing that would keep me from saying yes, yes, yes.
And just for general public information, these policy or whatever committee meetings are open to the public. So feel free to come to any of them.
Okay. All right. At this point, go ahead.
So the question boils down to, is a reduction in the number of meetings going to diminish public understanding of what's going on? Can we conduct fewer meetings and keep the public informed? That's kind of what it boils down to.
Yes.
Okay, but let me speak to this at this point in time. The difference between Sand Hills Community College and Moore County Schools is that Sand Hills Community College has a bunch of adults going to that school. We have children as young as 3 years old, actually, in some of our preschool. They go up, and none of them, or almost none of them, because we have some adults in our schools in the 12th grade, but for the most part, they're not adults. The parents want to have knowledge of things that we're doing, all the things that we're doing. And that's really what transparency is all about. Now, one of the problems here today is that we can have committees, and the committees are important. And I went along with committees because I've appointed committees. But the bottom line is we have a 7-member board. And our other members need to have input into the committees. Our public needs to have, needs to see that we are being transparent. By reducing the number of meetings we have, one thing we are not doing is we're not having the work sessions where we can hash out some of these problems. You say, one person says, well, I would like to have fewer meetings, but I don't know how the public is going to perceive that. These are things that we would talk out and talk out more in our work sessions. Now, clearly you can talk about it in committees, but you only have 3 members of a committee. The job of a committee is to come up with a motion. We work, this is the way Robert's Rules of Order works. We work on motions. There must be a motion for us to discuss. The job of the committee is to discuss things and to create the motion. Our work session is to then take a look at the motion, hash out the motion, figure out whether there are other things that need to be talked about on the motion, and get that motion fine-tuned so that when we get here to the business meeting, we can have some discussion and then quickly run through the business meeting. That's the way this is done. One of the reasons why, and I don't want to go into this too much, but one of the reasons why I referred matters to committee, I believe in committees. I've referred 3 matters to committees. I may have gotten the enmity of at least one board member for doing that. But I want the committees to work and work them out so that we don't have to have 2-hour, sometimes 10-hour business meetings. Our structure now, if we will work very, very well. By the way, Lee County also has its committees. And one of the reasons why I was glad to create things like a curriculum committee, which we did not have before, was because one of the members of Lee County actually suggested that they have a curriculum committee and the like committee. So I think at this point, one of 2 things needs to be done. I'm going to vote against this, not because I don't like it in principle. In principle, I think it may work, okay? And maybe it's something, oddly enough, that the policy committee ought to look at. But I think one of the ways to cut down on meeting times here is to, and I think you've seen a slightly different method of me conducting the meetings, is to work very, very hard at Robert's Rules of Order, which I think will make these meetings much more efficient. But number 2, I do not want to give the public an impression that we are somehow going into these small committee meetings, and the committee meetings are generally not done at 6:30, 7:30 in the evening, okay? And that we will secretly do things and not do it before the public. Each particular step we have has a purpose, and I think if that purpose is done, then we will be able to work much more efficiently here. So, with that, if there is no further discussion, let's move to a vote.
I have further discussion.
On the motion.
I have
Okay.
further discussion. I didn't take notes during during everything that you said, but I do have one thing to say about something you said towards the end. Everything you said about committee meetings, them being held during the day when people can't attend, them being sparsely populated, people not paying attention to them, everything you said about committee meetings also applies to the work sessions. They're held during the day when people can't attend, they're sparsely attended. So again, that's why committee meetings should have replaced, when we implemented committees, we should have phased out work sessions. Because again, every single criticism you made of work sessions that you made of committee meetings applies to work sessions.
Let me,
I do have one.
yes, go right ahead.
One big difference there, though, is that our work sessions are on YouTube where people can go back and view them later on if they want to and get caught up on things. Where if our committees, they are open to the public, but they're not being attended as the work session also. But again, they could go back in hindsight and see it afterwards. That would be a big difference for me that I think that the public would have a hard time adjusting to.
Sure. And let me ask you this. I don't think the county commissioner meetings are videoed or broadcast. Have you heard any citizens complain about not being able to watch the county commissioner meetings online?
Our views are in the hundreds typically every month. So I think if we were to stop doing that could cause some discouragement.
Okay, all right. So is there anything further? Hearing nothing further, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. All in favor of Mr. Hensley's motion, raise your hand. 1. Opposed? The motion fails. 6-1, am I right? Okay. Next order of business, the revised Moore County, is that, the revised Moore County Board of Education meeting calendar for 23-24.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Based on the board's current calendar, which again, can always be revised by the board, but based on the board's current calendar, I brought this to the board for its consideration at the work session. This is for looking at, when the board decided to start meeting out in our schools at various locations, that was decided through June. And so this is bringing back the board's calendar for the next year through September 2024, where the locations would be, and there's also a couple adjustments on meeting times. Donna, if you could pull up that attachment. Just want to real quickly review this with the board again. This begins with our 23-24 school year, and again, takes it all the way through September. The red denotes the changes, as I shared with you at the work session. As we have in the past, a combined work session, regular business meeting in July, on July 10th, next month, would recommend beginning at 1 p.m. for a work session and going to a regular business meeting. Our locations for August and September, for August would be here at the central office, because this is when we're still beginning to get school started on August 14th, having that next meeting here at the central office. And then in September, we would begin again for the regular business meetings being out around in different areas across our district. These schools were recommended as appropriate meeting locations from our technology team. We wanted to get their input on what are the best places we can meet that helps them have a, I won't say easy way of setting up things, but a more fluid way of setting things up for our business meetings. And so you can see that those locations listed in red. Our first location at a school beginning in September would be at Southern Middle School. If we go to December, that's the next tweak to the schedule that I recommend, that we have a combined work session and then organizational regular business meeting in December on December 4th. So just having one meeting in December, and then we continue to move through all the way through September again of 2024, and those locations are listed, et cetera. So again, went over this at the work session. Happy to entertain questions and discussion, but this is the current school board meeting calendar, and this sets up locations, tweaks that December date, and then takes us through September 2024.
And just Dr. Locklear, this doesn't change the frequency of meetings. This is only the situs of meetings plus some time changes. Am I right?
Yes, sir. This is the current schedule. The changes in that schedule were to add one meeting in October. That's for school improvement plans. To reduce a meeting in December and have a combined work session, organizational business meeting. And then also takes us through September 2024, looking at the meeting locations and setting those up.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Dr. Locklear's calendar?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
Yes.
I have a question.
Well, let me go with Mr. Holmes first.
So been talking to some of the media techs and how easy it would be if we reduced our public locations to like 3 schools instead of them having to go from one school to all the way to another school and coming up with the unfortunate of not being able to access a certain part of the school to start preparation for the meetings. And I think that we should entertain at least 3 locations for these meetings.
Okay. Yes.
I think that Dr. Locklear had said that we had already concised it a little bit, but my question to Dr. Locklear was, who exactly on the technology department did you ask people on site, or here at central office?
I'll ask Dr. Metcalf to come to the microphone.
Thank you, Dr.
He was the one directly in communication with Mr. Eklund, our Director for Technology. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Eklund and Mr. Herring spoke directly with their team to
Okay.
select these. The full team was involved in the selection.
That's what I wanted to know. Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Further? Any further discussion? Hearing no,
Am I right in understanding that we listened to their input and chose particular schools based on that?
Yes, ma'am. These schools that I chose, to your point, Mr. Holmes, were given to us on that list from the technology team, and I used those schools for the sites that I put on this draft calendar for your consideration.
Yeah, they're just more schools. that
They're
are-
more than three, you're right. That's correct. To your point, it does vary around more than 3 sites, but they were on the list.
and am I correct, Dr. Locklear? This gets us all around different parts of the county.
That's correct. It rotates across each area every 3 meetings. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that area 1, 2, and 3? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sir. So the southern area, our central area here around Carthage, and then our northern Moore area. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Is there anything further? No. Hearing nothing further, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now, I'm going to try to go rather quickly through some of these things that I don't think are going to be have too much discussion. Do I have a motion to approve the risk management coverage plans?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The amended FY 22-23 budget resolution for the fourth quarter. Is there a motion to approve that budget resolution?
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Continuing budget resolutions 2023, 2024. Is there a motion to approve the continuing budget resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. North Carolina Capital Management Trust. Yes, I believe that is to place our money into the North Carolina Capital Management Trust so the public will understand.
Yes, that's correct. That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Let me just try and do it this way. Oh, well, okay. The Career and Technical Education Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment for year 2. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this point in time, I'm going to actually turn over very briefly to Dr. Locklear to explain the purchase of the reading magnetic, the Ready Magnetic Reading.
Yes, sir.
Okay, for grades 3 through 5, because I think the public would be very interested in this.
Yes, sir. We've asked Ms. Gephardt, at the request of the board, to come back and do an abbreviated presentation that she shared with the board at the work session. We are excited about these resources to bring them into our classrooms, and I believe the board, as I like to say, was fired up about it as well. So we do appreciate the opportunity for Donna to share again. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Ms. Gephardt, please.
Thank you, Chair Levy, Dr. Locklear, members of the board. You know I love talking about reading. There's nothing more exciting. So This program is a comprehensive focus on comprehension for grades 3 through 5. This would be a consumable curriculum resource that we would have to look at annually to purchase, but we would not have to repurchase our teacher adoption materials. It would only be the student. And we're only making the recommendation for a 1-year purchase this time to make sure that this is something our teachers absolutely are using and it is truly impacting and increasing our comprehension. It is engaging text. It is aligned to the Science of Reading instructional practices. It is aligned to the North Carolina Standard Course of Study, so each story aligns to a specific standard within the standard course of study. They're dynamic, they're engaging. We love the organization of it so that as students are familiarizing, they get the first text that builds some background knowledge. And from Science of Reading, if you recall, I spoke a couple months ago and talked about how critical background knowledge was in raising student achievement and having the opportunity to give them plenty of background knowledge. You'll see they read. Let's go to the next one. Each story is very dynamic with a specific skill. This happens to be addressing 4th grade RI 4.1, which is about making inferences and citing explicit textual information. And you see on the chart, it makes them go through what do they know, and then what's the inference you can make based on the text. So again, a dynamic with lots of writing. That's the other piece that the teachers are loving. Our teachers, we piloted this spring. It was just released late in the fall. This spring we piloted in several locations across the county. We wanted to make sure we had representation from our schools from the northern end to the southern end to here in area, our central area. Feedback from the teachers overwhelmingly raved about the text. They felt the students were very engaged, the students liked the stories, the teachers liked the flow of the lesson plan and felt like it really supported them in lesson planning and meeting the needs of the students, as well as ensuring that our students are engaged with complex text. It's critical that our students are having the time to turn and talk and really talk through that complex text. And they love the protocols and the writing component to that. This is an example I had given you guys of the student text, the teacher text. The teacher text is very well outlined. It is very explicit for teachers. It'll say, here's the questioning. What I love, if you notice in the corner where it says use of protocols, those are those active engagement protocols. So it gives me my menu option right here so I know as teacher, and then it takes me through the lesson, shows me the before standard and the after standard, so I know if I'm teaching this 4th grade standard, what did the kids know before? And if we had seen that, it would be ask and answer questions. Then it gives me a depth of what I'm to do as the teacher. So it really takes a huge lift off of our teachers and gives them a great resource that's engaging and exciting for our students. Ms. Simon, if you'll go on to the next slide. She's pulling up the student text. You'll see the teacher text had just exactly what there was there for the students, starting out with, I think, I wonder, and moving into very complex vocabulary. That's one of the pieces that the teachers really liked about this, is how it supported our students and then how it showed them, here's where we're stopping discussing. This is an amazing product, and again, it is totally separate from our iReady diagnostic. So we have the iReady diagnostic with lots of wonderful resources, but this is an additional resources for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers that give them a specific text that focuses on comprehension. We have a lot of products focused on phonemic awareness. We've got a strong phonics program. This is that layer. We've got a great vocabulary program, Vocabulary Surge. This is that layer that really helps us and moves us forward with comprehension. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. I know there was one last time about K2. The K2, we use the Read Aloud project. Ms. Bruno, you probably remember me doing the 2 Bobbies with you guys.
I do.
The Read Aloud project is on Achieve the Core, and we have purchased books for our teachers in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd. So they actually get a real book that they're holding and having those deep conversations with the students. So this would mean that our K5 has a really robust, strong comprehension program in addition to phonemic awareness and phonics.
Okay. Do we have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So what's the cost of these textbooks?
They are $15 a piece, but we got a discount because we're buying for all of our schools to $12.95.
Okay, so I just have to make a point. So it's about 55,000 or something a year, if I recall
This is
correctly.
55,000, and that includes a professional development. I think it's 2,600 for professional development, which is providing one train the trainer for Moore County Schools. So one of our own specialists will become a train the trainer.
Right.
And then they are doing a 3-hour training on August 17th. And that 3-hour training will be for a PLT, a professional learning team lead from each school to come in and be trained on the organization that you saw so they can go back and support and lead the PLTs.
Okay, so thank you. By the way, I'm 100% for this because anything, you know, it reinforces writing. We got textbooks, we got stuff the parents can see, all those great reasons. But I have a question for the superintendent. So the superintendent and chair make a big deal about us not having enough money. So, Dr. Locklear, where's the money for these texts? Because this is going to be a $55,000 commitment going forward in perpetuity. So where's the money from this coming from if we're so tight on funds?
This comes from a specific allotment. It has to be spent on literacy intervention from the state. Great question, Mr. Angela. And so this is, I think, a very effective use of that funding, that if we have to use it on literacy intervention.
So this is the first year we've gotten that literacy funding?
We've had it before.
Yeah, this is going on the second year.
Okay, so what did we use it for last year?
We made sure we had Hagerty district-wide. We also have been, part of the 085 monies is to ensure that we are sustaining letters. So we have spent that on letters facilitators, so Moore County does not have to depend on DPI or anybody else. We now have currently 4 letters trained facilitators, which means they do provide the letters professional development in our district. And then we have 2 more that are letters unit 5 through 8 trained for facilitators. So we have to pay Lexia a pretty nice amount when we're getting facilitators trained. We also, as part of our sustaining letters. So the cohort that started in January, we actually had to pay for their books and their online subscription because the state is no longer paying any additional cohort. So that was the intent of those $085. The first year we did Hagerty some online Letterland phonics. So the whole purpose of this, we had to submit a literacy intervention plan to the Department of Public Instruction. And when they gave us feedback from that plan, we had to then take and make sure that we were able to implement that plan with the support of those $085.
Yeah, so my, no doubt, 2 points. Education's expensive, and 2, you've been spending the money very wisely. But my bigger point is this, is that the point is always made, we're using this money that's earmarked for this as if it's new money. But this isn't new money. This is money that we spent on something else previously. Now we're spending it on this because money's neither created nor destroyed. It's just converted from one use to another. I'm just making the observation that this is not new money. This is money that has been spent differently in the past and could be spent differently.
Okay. There's anybody else?
I did have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to verify with the teacher's curriculum, you said that it would not need to be replaced. That only the students' consumables would, and I know that typically that sounds correct, except for every few years will they come out with edition 1, edition 2, like when do we need to be concerned with having to redo our teachers' curriculums?
They have not given us a timeline for that,
Okay.
but just like any good company,
Yeah,
they want to
they wanna make money.
invested.
Yeah, they're right.
I feel like they're looking at this as a 5-year because textbook monies typically are allotted with a 5-year implementation. So I'm hoping for 5 years. And
Okay.
again, that we will be very conscientious of what our teachers say to make sure that this is the right product for comprehension.
Okay, all right. So there's just, did the board understand eventually this is, we, up front, directly, our teachers should be good for a few years, but in the overcoming years, we might have to get them new books.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think this money is very well spent. You know how excited I am about this. I have gone through the book. It is just something that's hit out of the park. I am so happy with this. Our children are going to be reading and they're going to be writing and understanding and answering questions. It's a great, great, great. I'm very excited.
One of the fantastic things about Moore County Schools is we have the enthusiasm of Ms. Gephardt, we have the enthusiasm of Ms. Bruno. So we're certainly going to succeed, okay, because they can engage and inspire.
Both of my children have been overwhelmingly improved on their iReady, and they actually really love it, so that's really
Okay,
good.
terrific. Thank you so much.
Okay, yes. Anybody else? Yes.
I just wanted to say, yeah, I agree with this. We had something like that a few years ago, and it was wonderful, and I'm glad that we're bringing something else back. Because I think the kids do need that, and they need that hands-on, and especially for comprehension, it's huge. And I agree with this has nothing to do with this, but the iReady has, I mean, just for a testament of my own, my daughter was 4th grade level, beginning of 6th grade, and now she's at 8th grade. So if that doesn't, and she's an 8th grader, so if that doesn't tell you that iReady is working, I don't know what will, so.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. So is there a motion, because I don't think I got a motion
No, we didn't
out of
yet.
that. Is there a motion to purchase the Ready Magnetic Reading for grades 3 through 5?
I proudly make the motion.
Yes, from Ms. Bruno makes the motion, yes.
Proudly.
Proudly makes, could we have that in the minutes? She
Okay.
proudly makes the motion.
Second.
Okay, was there a second? Okay, so there's a second here. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The motion passes. Do I have a motion for the approval of the exceptional children's contracts for 23-24?
So moved.
Okay,
Me.
we'll give, okay. Ms. Bruno again, she beat you out by the buzzer. Okay.
A second.
By Ms. Davis has a second on it, I believe. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That was the exceptional children, that was L, am I correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. For M, which is the amended contracts for exceptional children, nursing services. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. The amended contracts for exceptional children's services for 22-23. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion to approve those amended contracts?
Mr. Chair, this is for the interpreter services.
N.
Okay,
Item N.
this is N, item N.
N is
Yes.
in Nancy.
Amended contract for exceptional children's interpreter services, yes, for 22-23.
So
I better,
moved.
okay, so there's a motion,
Second.
second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Bless you.
Motion passes. Okay, out-of-state field trips. We had a couple, I believe there are a couple of out-of-state field trips. Well, if you're here to talk to us about it, give us a
Just very
quick
quickly,
synopsis of
Pinecrest
where the
High
kid's
School.
going.
Pinecrest High School Future Business Leaders of America are going to the National Conference in Atlanta. Pinecrest High School Health Occupation Students of America are going to Dallas, Texas for the Skills USA International Leadership. And the Northmore Advanced Theater and Thespian Troupe that you heard about before is going to represent the state of North Carolina at the International Thespian Festival, hopefully beginning Friday.
Great.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Is there a motion to approve these out-of-state field trips?
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. After-school daycare fees. Is there a motion to approve these, I believe it's the superintendent's recommendation on the after-school daycare fees?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Holmes. Okay. All those in favor, oh, is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much for the. Okay. Child nutrition Q, we're on item Q. Child nutrition bid awards for supplies for beverages and ice cream, especially the ice cream. Is there a motion to approve those awards?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay.
I would like the presentation on this.
Okay, all right. But we have a motion and a second, but let's now hear from the presentation.
All right, good evening. I'll share with you our presentation for Child Nutrition Bid Awards. During the Board of Education work session on the 5th, we presented a recommendation for bid awards. The invitation to submit bids for general groceries and supplies and beverages for the 23-24 school year was issued through the North Carolina Procurement Alliance. The bid opening was held May 18th, 2023 at the McKimmon Center in Raleigh. There was one responder to the supply bid. There were 3 responders to the beverage bid. Pepsi Bottling Ventures, Coca-Cola, and Cisco beverages are awarded as line items, and this allows local distributors that may not carry all of the items on the bid to compete for the items that they stock. Invitations to submit bids for produce and ice cream were issued by Moore County Schools Child Nutrition. The bid opening was held May 3rd, 2023 at the Child Nutrition Office. There was one responder to the produce bid. The bid was based on the week of February 12th, 2023, because as you know, produce fluctuates, so it's based on that week. There was one responder to the ice cream bid. Bids were gathered based on a specific list which provided a yearly projection of usage. Actual price will depend on product usage. If we'll just take a look at our chart for the lowest bidders, our general groceries came in at $1,807,490.04. That is about $400,000 more than the year before. However, that's attributed to the higher food quality that we will be purchasing this year, as well as some inflation, as we all know, to food costs. Our supplies went to Cisco in Raleigh for $185,042.05. Beverages, Pepsi was our water, $15,040. Our sparkling water, Pepsi, $12,931. Beverages, 100% juice, was Pepsi again at $3,262.50. Our sports drinks were Pepsi, $2,100. Our flavored beverages without carbonation, again, were awarded to Pepsi, $6,300. Produce went to Honeycutt Produce for $148,880. And our ice cream went to Hershey Creamery at $69,863. Bid renewals were available for our milk and chemicals. Our milk will be in the first year of renewal with Mayola Dairies, $251,264.49. And our chemicals will be in a second year of renewal with Cefale, $4,158.37. This is a total projected 2023-24 cost of $2,506,331.45. However, please remember the actual cost will be based on the amount of product used. Any increase is projected to fit within the child nutrition operating budget. Are there questions?
Yes, are there any questions?
So, we had previously discussed increasing the food quality, the quality of food, and these meals represent an increase in quality.
Yes, sir. We did at the highest level of quality that we were able to.
So I just want to achieve some understanding here. We seem to have passed 5 or 6 things without any discussion, but I really want to understand this one. Make sure the public understands it too, the people who are here and watching online, because that seems to be important. So, which it is important. Is that possible? So in food services to schools, do they just have like A, B, and C, and you choose the level you want?
We're bidding, in essence, on fresher ingredients, so we'll have more produce involved. when we're looking at an example, I ask our child nutrition director, give me a specific example of what we might see an increased bid. So currently, there's a Chick-fil-A sandwich that goes to our students. That's something that happens about once a week. Right now, it is a processed, pulled apart, and put back together
Yeah.
piece of chicken
It's a
patty.
giant chicken McNugget.
Correct.
Right.
Our new bid, it will be a whole breast chicken fillet, not a processed piece of meat.
Right.
So that's the example, you know, that we give as something we'd see that would be a big difference.
Right, and food quality is important. One of my focus has always been the breakfast. You know, I see a lot of sugary carbohydrate, you know, getting children hyperactive right for the first period. You know, I see like French toast sticks and stuff like that. Is this going to upgrade any of our breakfasts to like protein stuff like, you know, scrambled eggs and sausage or whatnot?
The Desire of Child Nutrition, when we talked about what could we do for breakfast, they want to go towards those protein options, towards the less sugary options, but we've got to still be able to make it something that's a grab and go. So I know we talked about breakfast burritos or a breakfast sandwich or a biscuit that had a protein inside. But the emphasis will be on getting us back to a little bit more cooking instead of what we would consider convenience foods. So there is going to be some more emphasis, and we are purchasing some new ovens to go in our cafeterias. So with the amount of produce we're having, with the higher bids, we will see some more preparation in our cafeteria.
So when will we be ready to increase the quality of our breakfast? I mean, is it an equipment limitation? Is it a?
No, it's all about what we purchase.
Right.
And so we should see next year that some of that, we're gonna see that begin to move up. I mean, these bids are in effect as of when we start the school year for our higher bids of food.
Good, good. And just let me remind everyone that during the 2 COVID years, food services made profit, like put in the bank. I think it was $4 million, roughly $4 million profit. But that was because of COVID funding and the government paid full price and there wasn't any blah, 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 blah. And I know that money was scooped up and put into a reserve fund somewhere. So I suspect that we're currently operating at a deficit and we're going to have to address that. Well, I know our food service program is currently, because of the vote of the last school board to keep the rates as is, I know that the food service department's operating at a deficit, so we're going to have to fix that this year. I will say, though, that you know, to provide better quality food, if we have to buy equipment, if our wonderful lunch personnel, AKA the lunch ladies, you know, if they need a couple hours a day extra to prepare food for our students, increasing the quality of food is well worth the investment that we make into it. And I know that you and others believe that if we increase the quality of food, that we'll have more participants. I believe that too, but regardless of whether or not we have additional participants, we owe it to the parents who entrust their children to us each and every day to give them quality food, or as good a quality as we can possibly do within, you know, the limits of our abilities. But we have some increasing to happen. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I did have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
David covered my first one. I wanted to know about the higher food quality, if it was name brand or nutrition, but you answered that. And just for the sake of my ignorance, will you please tell me what the chemicals are?
So that would be the cleaning supplies
That's okay.
within the kitchen.
Okay. One could assume, but I
No food
wasn't
additives, it's cleaning
positive.
supplies. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. Now, so I believe I still need a motion on this, or did
No, you have a motion on the
I
floor.
have the motion? Okay. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so is there further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, the agreement with Cal Amp Sonova for equipping the entire district fleet with GPS. I'd like for you to explain a little bit, because everyone is always concerned about our buses and how we're going to make our buses more efficient, and this appears to be something we're going to do about that.
Well, now, the one that we're talking about right now, Chair Levy, is our entire fleet. So we'll get to our buses next.
Okay, all right.
But this one, I'll just go over briefly. This is equipping our entire fleet. Currently, only our yellow buses and our state-issued vehicles within the Transportation Department are equipped with GPS. What this will do is equip our entire district fleet. This will provide a higher level of safety and efficiency in regards to our daily use. So over the summer, we will equip all transportation, Moore County Schools Police, student support services, maintenance, child nutrition, career and technical education, driver's education, IT, and our IT vehicles with GPS units that are compatible with the current Synovia tracking system that we use on our yellow buses. So this would mean that our entire fleet would then have GPS.
And everything can talk to each other, which is really,
Correct.
really
So-
important.
So right now, we utilize Synovia to see where our buses are located, to see stops, how long they're there. And this would be using that current software. Each director of those departments that we just covered would be able to see where their vehicles are at all time for safety purposes and efficiency purposes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve that first Synovia contract? Motion, motion made. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Bruno. Okay, any discussion?
I do have some discussion.
Oh, yes,
Or just a
please,
couple
please.
questions. I didn't understand, to be honest with you, that we weren't talking about buses before and that we were talking about the complete fleet. So for the safety of all the things mentioned before, what is it that you're looking for to make more safe for them, other than just being able to put eyes on them from central office or
Just
wherever?
location in the event of an emergency.
Okay.
So we're equipping
Is-
our SROs as well.
Yeah, no, I can definitely be on board. I'm not against it or for it necessarily. I just don't understand completely the need for all of it. Are you wanting to speak? I see you
Mr.
getting
Chairman,
ready.
may I offer
Yes,
a
please.
perspective?
Go to Dr.
I would
Locke.
say that part of what I've asked Ms. Purvis to work on is overall fleet management. So management of our entire fleet, where we're talking maintenance vehicles, where we're talking driver's ed vehicles, or our police vehicles, or whatever vehicles we have. And I think this gives us the opportunity to make sure we're managing that effectively, making sure we're keeping track of where our vehicles are, we're monitoring the usage, et cetera. So I think it's a way for us to have a fidelity, a physical responsibility and fidelity of that as well. So it comes from that perspective as well, it's just being able to manage our fleet effectively and know where it is at all times, et cetera.
Could you safely say it could pay for itself, possibly?
I don't know if I'd say that, but I would say, I would.
Maybe not all the way, but,
Defrayed.
yeah, right.
Well, we want to, it helps us track where our vehicles are. It helps us track, the usage of those vehicles, and make sure like I said, we've got fidelity of our operations. So, I don't know if I could say it's going to pay for itself.
Right. Do they keep a location log now? Like, would that keep them from turning in paperwork now that says where they've gone and what they've done?
I don't
or-
think so.
There's currently no location log.
Okay, okay.
Other than just knowing where they're assigned for their work jobs for the day.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we'll have that ability, I assume.
Correct.
Okay, so that does let us know if anyone is hanging out.
Make it easy.
Although I will say that our people work very, very hard. They do. Okay, further questions? Anyone? Okay, the motion has been made for the first Synovia contract. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, now let's talk about budget,
Yes, sir.
buses.
Yes, sir. So this next is talking about our buses, and it's a twofold process. It's very exciting. Number one, what we'll be adding to our buses is currently they're equipped with keypads, which is just a simple GPS and clock in and out for our employees, for our drivers. That current price is $4,425 a month. we will be replacing all of those keypads with tablets, and those tablets will allow core GPS tracking. They'll also allow student ridership, so students will be able to scan with a barcode on the bus and off of the bus. What this will currently do for us is, as you know, we have a bus driver shortage, and we don't have a lot of substitutes. So if we have a bus go down, for example, where there's no driver this afternoon, and it's short notice, we may take the students that are on that bus and try to put them on 3 other buses within our school to make sure that they get home that afternoon and they're not standing at the school for a long time waiting. What this would enable us to do is automatically see when that student gets on a different bus and they scan onto the bus. In real time, we'll have a report as to what students are on that bus. So at any given point in time, if we were asked to say, you know, who's on that bus that's on the side of the highway where maybe it's broken down or whatever, we would be able to pull that for safety purposes. So this would track student ridership on and off the bus. It would allow our drivers to clock in and out. It would also provide our drivers with navigation. Currently, our drivers have paper copies of their routes, and when we have to change a route or add something on, we print a new paper copy that has to be given to the drivers. This tablet will allow a nightly download, so if that route is changed, then it will be changed in their navigation system, and that will navigate right there on the bus. If we have 3 students who need to be added to the bus that afternoon, we can also pin those students within the navigation system, add it into the route that they have built into the system so that those drivers know where to drop those students off. So this will be a terrific blessing to our drivers. It will also have comparative routing. It will show us when they pull into the lot, when they pull out of the lot, when the buses return and are emptied. It will reflect ridership in Here Comes the Bus Parent app. Our drivers will be able to do their pre- and post-vehicle inspections within the tablet. They'll have 2-way messaging as well as an emergency button. So currently, our drivers fill out what we call TD-28s, their papers to let us know if there's something wrong with the stop arm or if there's something wrong with the door, something that needs to be serviced on their bus. They will be able to put that in their tablet, and that will go directly to our garage. So we're cutting out that middleman that has to scan in the papers at each individual school. So we're hoping this will provide some efficiency in service. Equipping the buses with this updated system will provide additional safety for students as well as support for the drivers. The cost per month will be $48 per month for each of the 122 yellow buses. That's $5,856 a month. $29.50 for each of the large garage vehicles. That is $118 a month. That would be like our tow trucks and whatnot, the larger vehicles. And $20 a month for the mechanic trucks at $160 a month. The total monthly cost will be $6,134, which is an increase of $1,708.42 per month, or $20,501.04 per year. The Transportation Department will be able to cover this increase within its state transportation 56 budget. Are there questions?
I just had a comment. I think what's great also is if you have a sub driver who doesn't know the route, it's right there on the navigation, and they don't have to worry about it. That was a huge plus for me, so.
You're right.
And I hope the public will understand that we are making strides, especially your office is making strides, Ms. Purvis, to do our best with a driver shortage and to make our buses as efficient as possible. So we're keeping up that effort.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you get some information during the day, who updates that to the bus route or to the navigation?
Our TIMS coordinator.
Okay.
So our Transportation Information Management System coordinator, when she enters that into TIMS, that downloads directly into that navigation system. Now that will download each night. So if there is an update today and we need to add one student, that can be added by the driver. So that may be provided, you know, our TIMS information management person would provide that driver with, hey, you've added a student, their address is this, and they could input that today for one time, and it would pin it, as we talked about adding 1 or 2 students. But then tonight, that would download, and it would put it into their full route.
who's in charge of it at the school side? Like the assistant principal that tells it, or is it the data manager?
The TIMS manager would
TIMS
communicate
manager, okay.
directly with the bus driver.
Okay.
As well as with the data manager and
No
the-
extra duties.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Anyone else?
I just think this is wonderful because we know where every student is,
Yes, ma'am.
where they are, what bus, when they got on, when they got off.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's very important. Anyone else? Okay, hearing nothing, I guess we do need a motion on this.
Yes.
All those in do I hear a motion for the second, to approve the second Synovia contract?
Yes.
Item S on our agenda.
Yes.
Okay, from Mr. Holmes. Is there a second?
Second.
Wait, point of order.
Second, Ms. Bruno,
Mr.
yes.
Schwartz, didn't we already have a motion on the floor? Didn't we have a motion before
No.
we started discussion?
No, you did not.
Oh, okay, I thought, okay.
We did for the fleet, but not for the buses, I think.
Okay. All right. Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Superintendent's report. Well,
Thank
it's
you.
still light outside.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. To our board members, thank you for your work today. I think that's a great segue into noting something that many of you were able to take part in and celebrate with us on Friday. We have our annual school bus turn-in day, where our drivers who aren't driving summer school or something of that nature may be returning in their buses. We had somewhere around 40 or 50 of our drivers who turned in their buses or came by, and we're able to celebrate them with a nice lunch and some donated door prizes for our community and businesses. And it was just a great afternoon of celebrating and talking with our drivers, and I appreciate the board members who were there. And certainly, what you just approved is really responding to what our bus drivers requested with that new Synovia tablet and the things of that nature. So we really appreciate your support of our bus drivers. Also, that led right into an incredible weekend celebrating over 1,000 graduates of Moore County schools. We heard all the details and all the data around those graduates. But we're just so proud of each of those graduates, and I'm especially proud of one of them, my own son, who crossed the stage this weekend. But we're so proud of those graduates, and I just want to say thank you to every member of our employee team, no matter what role they play for us, pre-K-12. They've made an impact on those students and helped them cross that stage to the next steps of their lives. So just want to say thank you to our employee team, and thank you for a great, great school year. Thank you, Mr. Levy. That's all I have to share today.
Okay, thank you. Board comments, we'll start with Mr. Benway.
To close out the school year, myself and Pauline have visited all of the elementary schools, all the middle schools. We've earmarked the high schools for September when we come back to school. Those visits have been extremely important, very, very productive for us, eye-opening for certain. There's some great things happening out there in the school world, believe me. The second thing is the CTE program. We saw earlier that the program has really blossomed here, and for good reason. We expect it'll blossom further as people more and more realize how much college costs,
Mm-hmm.
and the opportunity to get a head start on a career, a lifetime career. Anyway, I'd like to thank all the schools for the invitations to the events over the past month. They've been really, really neat. The graduations have been real productions, really well coordinated. Enjoyed them. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Ms. Davis.
Yes, I wanted to take a minute to actually commend Dr. Locklear. Whoops. I'm sorry, can you hear me now? Take a minute to commend Dr. Locklear on finishing out the best school year yet. And I love the little word yet, because I know that you have plans for bigger and better things as the years go on. And it's been an honor and a privilege. It was definitely an honor and privilege to attend the two graduations. I went to Northmore on Friday night and Pinecrest Saturday morning. And both valedictorians there and salutatorians spoke about, in their own ways, in their own words, about persevering and not letting obstacles get in your way. And I know that a lot of our children face obstacles, and if they haven't already overcome an obstacle, they're going to be facing one eventually in their life. And if we will just continue to press forward and continue to be kind while we do so, it's better for everyone. And I'm very proud of all the things that I saw over the past few months, and it's been an honor for me to have been here for this school year so far, and I can't wait for what's next.
Thank you. Ms. Caldwell.
I would say ditto with both of them. They summed it up greatly. But I did also want to thank, I saw a lot of police officers out here, and I still see one. I thank you for staying, and I know that there was something on the agenda that you wanted, that you were curious about. So I really am grateful that you came to come out and to see what was going on. And I saw some school counselors, and one is actually sitting here still. So thank you guys for showing up and, wanting to be involved. So thank you.
Ms. Bruno.
Yes, going back to what Ken said, since November, Ken and I have been visiting all the schools, speaking to the principals, the teachers, cafeteria workers, maintenance, bus drivers. And I really want to thank everybody for the very warm welcome we received at every one of these schools. It was just beyond anything. Thank you all for doing that. And I really want to thank everybody in Moore County Schools for being so wonderful to me. You've made my new journey great, and I am so appreciative the way I have been treated. Thank you. The other thing I wanted to mention is I have a luncheon club once a month. It's a group of ladies, and with Dr. Locklear's permission, we're trying to make the community aware of how wonderful our schools are. So the first month, I brought 2 seniors and a principal to the luncheon. We had 160 ladies there. And ladies, they go back and they tell the family, and they tell their neighbors, and they tell their husbands. So they asked, it was a question and answer period after the students spoke, and they literally won everybody's heart over. The second month, our luncheon was dedicated to the military. So again, with Dr. Locklear's permission, we brought 2 of the girls who are being accepted into West Point. And these 2 the girls came with their moms, and these 2 girls literally brought the house down. Everybody was so proud of them. So and I'm going to continue doing this all next year, bringing our students so our public, our community knows what a great job you guys are all doing. So again, thank you. Enjoy your summer.
Mr. Holmes.
Yeah, so my wife this past year taught at Vast Lakeview. She taught 2nd grade. And my children, Evan and Lyra Dane, they both have IEPs. Well, they left the A school in Moore County, went to Vast Lakeview, boosted their reading, which was below grade level, boosted it at or above. I think one of them went above. And so I just want to give a shout out to Miss Phillips, Miss Patton, Miss Deaton, Miss McDevitt, which is Miss McDevitt and Miss Brom. They're both EC. And, of course, Dr. Bennett herself. Thank you. And we will be going to McDeed's next year. But my wife did have an awesome year there, and Vast Lakeview is a great, great school.
Mr. Hensley.
Yes, I would like to, the graduations were great. I made it to Northmore High School graduation, the valedictorian and the salutatorians. Presentation speeches were awesome. It was great to listen to those young ladies speak. I do have to say a special shout out to Mr. Stephen Ross. The valedictorians, the way the central office released the valedictorians, salutatorians, and our top CTE graduate was Northmore, Union Pines, Pinecrest. And after the announcement of Pinecrest, it was ladies 9, men 0. The men were getting skunked 0 to 9. And then when they announced the Connect Virtual Academy graduates, I was pleased to see that a man, Stephen Ross, was the valedictorian for the Connect Virtual Academy. So the men finished with valedictorian, with top 3 graduates. We finished 1 and 10. So what that tells me, men, thank you for Mr. Ross for us not getting skunked and shut out. That tells us, men, next year, you guys need to buckle down. You need to prepare over the summer. You need to brush up on your academics. And next year, you cannot let the females shut us out or nearly shut us out. So anyway, it was a great academic year, lots of great things happening, and look forward to next year being even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hensley. First, let me say that we have a person here who will not be with us because she is retiring after 30 some odd years. You keep correcting me, Dr. Alpenfels. And we will miss her greatly. So we thank Dr. Alpenfels for so many years of service. Let me also say that this has been just such a wonderful year for Moore County Schools. And I hope when people are looking at Moore County Schools that we understand, and they need to know that we understand, that you have many different choices in Moore County for some very, very fine schools. There are private schools, there are parochial schools, and there are charter schools. But if you took a look at the breadth of the different kinds of graduates that we have at Moore County Schools and the opportunities that we have at Moore County Schools for, I think, almost every child, I think you should choose Moore County Schools. Give it a look. There may be a voucher available from some government agency or something like that. But you can't do better than sending your children to Moore County Schools. You're going to see from time to time a school board that sometimes may get mad at each other. Sometimes our school board may be so-called divided. But that is what democracy is all about. Our school board represents the people, a very, very diverse group of people, from the northern part of the county, the southern part of the county, the eastern part of the county, the western part of the county, all putting together a school system for great children. So plenty of things to choose from. This year shows the best choice is Moore County Schools. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Holmes. Okay. Second. We have a second by Ms. Davis. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.